Dun dun.
Holy shit! That's crazy! What an idea! Well, this is a perfect time for a commercial break. Meta. This podcast has been brought to you by... Oh, what was it?
By NordVPN Shadow Legends.
Nord Shadow Legends. Get
The
Nord...
best game out of China.
Get VPN Legends today to protect yourself from AFK Arena and get 40 free draws with the code 69420. Now back to the podcast.
Well, I like to base it off of historical, just ideas and events that we can look and see. I like to go with the ones that are very common and then build off of that. So that way, it's common knowledge. So I like to go with trying to analyze the Greeks, I guess, and the Romans about this aspect. So to be the modern homosexual male, the gay contemporary modern male, what is it?
You need to enjoy the same genitalia. I think that's really it, right?
Now, do you have now? Okay, here's a good way to put it. Also, so that's what makes someone that would be considered gay. Okay, now any less of that would also be gay, and then any more would also be gay. Now, what about someone who is married but also has a gay lover, like he goes to, type thing? Now, this happens in modern life, but this was also very common in Rome and Greece. So, but I'm going to say, now, what would you consider that in the modern sense? He's married, has kids, but enjoys the company of men. In that sense,
I think that's like a social aspect, because it wasn't until quite recently homosexuality was illegal. In 1994, it was totally illegal in the United States. So, do you know what a beard is? It is a term that the community uses to basically say, like, oh, you're gay, but you don't want your family to know you're gay because of their beliefs or whatever. So you have a fake girlfriend that knows that you're gay and is just supporting you or whatever.
The Romans, but this was the difference in the modern sense, I guess. But the Romans had this as well. I think it was a very, very open with the Romans. Well, I would have to also say that men were also preferred at times, I must say, by the Romans.
And
young, like boys. they like the lady boys.
They like tiny young men.
As we're saying, it seems like it was a social norm, right? None of them ever had a gay husband, correct? So we have the aspect of marriage in this, and we have the aspect of lovemaking, and we have the aspect of homosexuality and the act, like what is being gay, right? Now, was there a singular gay, like, was there a Roman who was specifically gay that we can think of?
Emperor Nero?
I believe, yeah, I was going to say I can count on Nero, I think.
Yeah.
So there were exclusively gay men. That this aspect can go away, come back, change, have different variations. It seems like that's why to me it seems like more of a social construct. And now we have this U.S. version, right? Or not the modern version, but we can look at the U.S. where we're at. What's to say that's what's actually like, we know what gay is, but like what's to say that's the true form of it, or the pure form, or right, or that's why everything's kind of like in that postmodern sense where nothing, everything's derived from something, right? Well, we got to look at the animals that are exclusively gay, right?
Off of the top of my head, bonobos and penguins.
Okay, what's the first thing those animals do when they're together? They form social groups, right? There are I can't really think of any predatory, like leopards, right? Leopards aren't gay, for instance. Well, do you know the behavioral sink? The best way to put it is a reduction in, I guess, the group's behavior from overpopulation, in a sense. Or I guess more of like overcrowding, if they're all kind of in a, small amount of space, and they don't have enough room to, um, I guess, get away from each other. Um, they have like this kind of a rat utopia type thing from this behavioral sync, and I think it had to do with this experiment in which there was multiple rats. The behavioral, okay, so like eventually, if I guess the population hits a certain limit, won't eventually it'll be societal collapse, right? It's like a phenomenon. I think it has to do with like power dynamics too, doesn't it? Eventually, if once there's a large amount of people and there's certain resources that have to be essentially distributed amongst the group and so on, that's where the alpha males come in, and that's where the beta males and the females come in and all that shit. And then now there's sigma males, right? Like if an alpha male and the beta males and all those other, like, all the deltas, or I don't know. Like the hierarchy of males and the power dynamics behind it all. The sigma male is like a circle, and it's completely outside of the triangle. So they just live outside the power, that pyramid of power, I guess, of hierarchies. I know they don't have like schizophrenia. They're like autists, bro. They're like they explain what like Tyler Durden types are, and people that admire Drive and shit.
Okay, so I typed
Okay, like,
in I typed in defined sigma male on Google, and it says a sigma male is essentially an introverted alpha male.
yeah, essentially. So essentially, with homosexuality being this social construct, I view it in this like postmodern sense. This isn't like how I think it truly is. This is just something I kind of look at. I'm trying to just work on myself and just kind of like this idea of where it can come from, essentially. So it's postmodernism is this philosophy that's essentially, well, yeah, I guess we'll go with just like, I mean, it could be an art movement too, an architecture, but it's essentially a philosophy that everything has already been uh, discovered, essentially, right? Everything's just like a derivative of itself. Um, everything's kind of, there's this kind of like meaningless aspect to everything that I can see. There's a, I think for me, another thing I don't like a lot about like postmodernism is that if things are inherently meaningless, then what's the point of analyzing them in depth as we do usually? With that postmodern lens, I mean, if we like, why do postmodernists uh, like to go into such things with such depth? I'll never know. I wish I understood. I wish I had their mindset so I can like understand that aspect. But essentially, just postmodernists. So going back to our where I was trying to go with postmodern philosophy is that it's essentially just this this idea that everything has already been explained, or it's derives from things. It's already been, everything's the derivative of itself, right? Um, and that there is no universal objective truth. Everything is just subjective because it's all based around our own individual experience, essentially. Um, but that our own existence is also meaningless and nothingness in and of itself because that there is no inherent uh, objective meaning in the universe. I think that's kind of like a Stirner approach to it, where I think for him he said essentially that if there is no God, there's no objective meaning to the universe. Uh, Even though Kant can say there's secular objectivity in the universe, I think Max definitely did not agree with that aspect. So essentially, everything is pretty much just subjective in their viewing. Paul Farabend, he was a very interesting one. He seemed to have this like aspect that like reality reality is uh what is it called? We're not really seeing reality how it is. It's all based off our senses, right? Like I'm not actually like if I look at you, I don't really actually see you, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm seeing, what I'm receiving is light rays, right? And they're bouncing into my eye, and they're being registered by my, read by my brain and everything, and that's what I'm seeing. The image is that, right?
Yeah.
So there's no like everything is pretty much just there's like an illusion to everything, right? Everything is almost like obscured, and so there's different aspects of reality, right? They believe that reality is also relative, right? I think they had a very big aspect on that. They believed that everything was related. Well, again, derivatives of themselves. Everything derived from something, right? It's essentially just been built upon, right? They just kind of built it. Like it's not like the homosexuality we have today is not like this like basis or starting point or something, right? It's always existed.
Right.
It's always existed within society specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And the more denser the population, the more active areas they kind of were, unless they were suppressed by some sort of uh, like like law or societal aspect. There was a lot of societies even before Christianity that did like they were very strict on it, or they had very different aspects to homosexuality. But there was a lot of free, open societies. Of course, we named plenty of them earlier. But essentially, it's kind of just built upon where you're from, right? And
So
I would almost look at it more like I almost kind of look at everything in this Hegel sense, where you know we have to be in the context of their time. See, it's kind of just based off the like imagine 2,000 years in the future if there's a gay guy, right? What would he think of our gay people, right? So essentially, like with the Romans viewing of it, that's why I think it's like a social construct, man. Like imagine how it'll evolve, or it'll go away. It might even go away. It might get repressed in like 100 years. Some cult will come around and say this is bad or something.
I
You never
think
know what happens. Who knows? There could be an STD one day that's caused by the gays, and like you never know. Like this also the same thing could be caused by the straights. All right, don't attack me. I'm just saying. But who knows? There could be some weird alternate future where some STD causes people to dislike gay people so much that everyone like suppresses them, right? And then in the future after that, you have an emergence again, and then it's a completely different emergence, right, compared to today, or compared to today's, or compared to the Romans, right? So that's what I mean by like it'll construct itself essentially. You can have sex like in the Roman sense, like for just the fun of it, but you can also just do it for the just the pure procreation of it. The whole virtue and vice aspect of everything, is it not? There's an interesting problem with like pleasure and love.
mm,
Uh, this is the whole thing that like what was it? Sigmund Freud got into, right? That it's hard to both love your partner and be attracted to them sexually, like that's a
Sigmund,
problem for a lot of couples, right? Yeah, like it's either one or the other. That people really like when they have a partner, they don't really like if they love them, they find a hard time making love to them. You know what I mean? But if they like making love to them, it's more that they don't really love them as much. It's very interesting. I don't know too much about that aspect. Uh, I find that one to be very weird because I don't know because it has to go against the whole like this was the whole thing about modern love, right?
mm.
Like you can add love to marriage now. Like before, it was like marriage over like for business or for politics or for what I mean.
like the feudal times where like you get plot of land if you marry someone or something.
Yeah, but then you have the Renaissance, and everyone's like, now there's like a surplus of supply, so you don't really need to marry for that anymore.
Right.
So everyone's like, I want to marry for love, right?
Right. I think
There's a lot
that's
going on. It's like, okay, it's a someone's sexuality, okay, but this is no different than if someone were to oppress someone for their religion, right?
what's one good thing about today.
Mother's Day, man.
Mother's Day.
Yeah, it's Mother's Day.
It is Mother's Day. Did you say Happy
Yeah,
Mother's Day to your mom?
I did. It was a good time. We didn't have work today, so I didn't really get to spend time with her. But my dad did, so took her to a restaurant. So I'm just happy she had a good time. What about you?
I think I texted my mom. Thanks for existing and not preventing me from existing. She laughed. um, what's one bad thing about today?
I didn't get to go bowling with my friends,
What
but
happened?
it just didn't. Times didn't sync up for me. That's all.
Yeah, that's
But
unfortunate.
you know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, I like that. And then, what's one hope you have for tomorrow?
Wake up in a very good mood.
You know what? I find that that's most of the time the case, right? Just wake up and not feel like a shitty dickhead.
Exactly. I just want to wake up right. Like wake up generally pretty good. Like I'd say about like pretty much 70% good to go. I haven't been getting good sleep, but I'm gonna get some good sleep tonight. Just like wake up like energized.
Mm-hmm.
Probably go to the gym or something.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. What about you, man?
Um, I don't know.
What's your hope for tomorrow?
Well, I have a another scheduling with another guest for the third episode of the podcast, and I just hope that one goes as well as this one did, and as the first one did too. Because you guys are both of you guys, the first and you
Mm-hmm.
guys were really good at you guys are very charismatic characters, right?
Yeah, I'm just wacko.
Meta.